Hello, I'm Kimberly, and I went through over a decade of extreme chronic experiences, and now I am sharing my story and helping others go through their journeys and experiences with chronic illness. So, three times this past week, just in the past 3 or 4 days actually, I was asked a very similar question, whether antifungals, antiparasitics are needed in order to heal. What my experience was and my thoughts on it. So I just thought I would share that here in a video since it's come up so much. I had many different types of treatments for antifungals, antiparasitics, and I was in 2015 did my natural antibiotics with pharmaceutical antibiotics, 15 weeks of treatment for Lyme disease. And so that kind of started off like a major killing spree, shall we say, within my body. And after that, I had like a brief time where I felt better, and then I got worse than I was before that. And then I was exploring different options and learning about parasites and candida even more so, and looking into ways to deal with that. I had chronic yeast infections on my skin, broken open rashes. I have old videos showing the rashes and the candida that I had. And then I also had parasites that actually I started seeing them and noticing them after during the end of my 15 weeks of Lyme treatment. So it was 15 weeks, 5 days a week of various different IV bags and oral supplements and other things as well. And I started noticing big worms coming out of my body, and I had no idea what these were. This was 2015. There still wasn't a lot of talk about parasites. Candida was something that people were talking about. Candida is yeast, a yeast infection systemically. And so I started doing some parasite cleanses and yeast related things at the same time. So it was 2015 that I had the Lyme treatment, and then it was a little bit, I gave myself some rest of some months in between where I wasn't really doing much of anything treatment wise. And then I was like, okay, these parasites just keep coming out. I need to figure out, do some research, find out what's going on. I tried to find a parasitologist in the country and I couldn't find anybody. They just don't really exist, especially didn't at the time. There wasn't like coaches or people talking about this online at that moment. It was very far and few between that you could find anything. So I started doing black walnut husk and clove and excuse me, oh my god, I'm totally blanking. Walnut husk, clove, and wormwood. Those were the three things that I started on. I did a whole bunch of variations of different things with other herbs and things in there as well, and tried a lot of stuff. This was also, would help with some of the candida as well. I was at this time only eating meat and cooked green vegetables, so my diet had like no carbs and no sugars in it essentially at all. And I tried an antifungal. I honestly can't remember the year that I tried the prescription antifungal, and I got temporarily better for a little bit. It was fluconazole, and then oh my god, it just like ramped up like crazy. And I'm pretty sure this was actually before the Lyme treatment that I did the 15 weeks of in 2015, that it was before that, because my candida got way worse after that, and I know it was super bad when I went and did this Lyme treatment in 2015. So a lot of times what I've experienced, what I've heard other people talk about, what I've read has been that the prescription antifungals will come in and they'll take down the colonies temporarily. But what can happen is that there can be like the super bugs that are left over after that. So the yeast that is the strongest is still in the body. It didn't get killed off, and so that is the yeast that ends up multiplying in the body very quickly. So when the medicine is no longer in the system, then the yeast just kind of goes rampant. There really isn't a lot of Western medical treatments for candida like fungal infections systemically throughout the body or even on the skin on the body. Fungus can be very, very tricky to treat and get rid of. And then I ended up doing, let's see. Oh, so the treatment clinic that I was at, that I ended up doing the 15 weeks of treatment at, I went back because I found out I was still reaching out to the doctor there and trying to get some advice and understand what was going on. He was kind of, I was one, like, I think the first patient that really came up and said, like, hey, I'm seeing worms. Like, what the heck is this? What's going on? And then, like, right after that, there were multiple other people. So he was kind of asking me, like, what I was experiencing. And then we were kind of talking about some things that he had seen that maybe could help with everything. And so I had been staying in touch with him, and he ended up saying, okay, so we have this experimental treatment called anti-dulafungin that you can come in and get. And at this point, I was just desperate. I was hardly eating any food. I was hardly digesting any food. I had rashes everywhere. I was just absolutely miserable and in constant pain 24/7 and barely sleeping at night. So I was like, okay, like, you know, I don't even know how I'm alive at this point, so let's just do it. And so I went in, and it was IV treatment, and I was getting like sicker and sicker. It was 2 weeks of treatment, and I think it was 5 days a week. Maybe it was 4 days a week. And so I just kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And I remember at the end of this that I could barely like get to the bathroom. Like, I needed help getting to the bathroom, filling up a tub. So taking like a hot bath was one of my only like pain reliefs, that and coffee enemas. And so I remember like I couldn't do any of that on my own. I needed help with absolutely everything. Absolutely could not cook my meals. I was so weak. And then I ended up I felt like I was going to die at that point. I felt like there was absolutely like nothing, like my body was really hardly digesting food. And I have videos of the amount of parasites that were coming out at this point. You can look back at my old videos. If I remember, I'll link them underneath here. It's graphic and it's a lot of parasites. But this is what was happening to me at the time. So I was like, okay, I'm at this point, I'm just ready to die. Like, I am miserable. I am in so much pain. And so I ended up, I was in Arizona at this time, ended up coming back to California, moving back with my parents, and needing like just absolute full caretaking at this point. And I didn't do anything for months after this. I was just trying to regain my strength and just try to get back to a place where I could eat some more food, or it was just miserable. So my experience, long story short here, with the antifungals and the antiparasitics and everything like that, using that as like a source when my body was so down, did not help me, did not serve me. After this was 2017 that I did this treatment, in the spring, early spring, late winter of 2017. And then it was 2018 that I ended up doing the stem cells, which again, I don't know if they did absolutely anything or not. But in between that 2017 and 2018, I was seeing energy workers. I was seeing Chinese naturopaths that were doing acupuncture and NAET treatments. I started on ketotifen, which is a mast cell deactivator. It helps with the antihistamine releases. And so those were like the main things I was doing in combination with meditation. And I started brain retraining during this time, and cold therapy and breath work techniques. And it was in 2018 that I started with the hardcore brain training, hardcore cold therapy, and breathwork techniques in combination with the other things that I was doing. But I wasn't doing anything to kill anything at this point. So that spring, early spring of 2017 was the last time that I did anything to like kill anything off until I really came out of the experiences I was having. So the question, was, did I think that the anti-parasitics and antifungal, anti-candida stuff was helpful when my body was that weak and in that much pain and that imbalance, that acidic? It wasn't helping me. Like it only got worse, like at that point. Now, I was barely digesting food. My stool like did not look like stool. I remember showing it to my naturopath and she's like, this is what your stool looks like. It literally did not look like, it was crazy. And so my body was just so down and so out of it that it was the nurturing part of it that helped to bring me back. So I learned looking at treatments or foods or anything that we put into our body in two ways from Ayurveda, traditional Indian medicine. So you can either have stripping or you can have nurturing things that go into your body. So stripping is anything that takes anything away. This can be like killing off of treatments like anti-parasitics, antifungals, antibacterial, but also cleansing, where it's stripping things from the body and taking away extra anything in the body, extra mucus in the body, anything. It's pulling anything out of the body. The second is nourishing. So this is anything that helps to support the cells of the body and helps to build things back up. So stripping and building, stripping and nourishing. And so I had been doing stripping forever. Those were the treatments that I was doing for like 10 years basically, on and off. And then I was like, I need to stop this. Of course, I was doing some nourishing in between there too. I was eating, as much as I could, as healthy as I could, and doing some other things as well to support the system. But after that treatment, that antidual fungan in 2017, I was like, okay, I just need to nourish. Like, I just need to build my cells back up and try to get any foods in there that I can. And this is where the the mast cell deactivator, the ketotifen, and the NAET treatment, like I credit those two heavily with being able to digest food again. Again, in combination with the other stuff that I was doing, I can never say that it was just one thing or not. And so that was my experience, was that I had done that for years and years and years. And then when I stopped doing it and started doing all these other things to help support my system, I wasn't really putting anything in my system other than anything to nourish it. So it was just any of the foods that I could tolerate, and the breath work, so bringing in a lot of oxygen to alkalize the body, to help bring down the acidic levels in the system, drinking filtered water, and cold therapy to help with shocking the system out of the patterns that it was in and bringing down inflammation in the system. That did really help with pain as well. It was painful to get in the water, and I had Raynaud's, and so it was painful to get in the water, but then when I got out of the water, it was extremely helpful. And yeah, all of the things. So that was my story with it, and everybody has a different story. So I know people who have you know, done the other way where they've tried all the other stuff. They've done all the nourishing stuff and they've tried to nourish their body. And then they needed to do some sort of the antifungal, antiparasitic of some kind to help to kind of bring them to the next level with that too. So I think it's looking at what you've tried so far, where your body's at, and deciding if it is something that is right for you to try. Also, maybe not going into it as hardcore as I went into it, where I'm like, you know, trying everything and hitting it super, super hard with everything. That was something that I did multiple times as well through all the different tinctures and supplements and everything that I did. Was so much of it was like, we're gonna kill this and we're gonna do everything we can to get this out of your body, but maybe taking it really slow and doing things in minor doses and trying just to subtly start to do things would have been something that would have helped me. I've done a parasite cleanse since getting better, I think twice, since 2019. And I did one last year, and I'm planning to do one in the spring, and I'm going to do it in a way that feels really good to me by doing khichdi, which is an Indian dish that can help with cleansing and is really, really gentle to the system, really, really easy for the system to digest, and has some really wonderful spices in it. And then doing some of the natural anti-parasitics, because I definitely can see parasites. It's something that we all have, and some of us just notice it more than others. And definitely I do coffee enemas still on a regular basis. So when doing those coffee enemas, it like kills any of the pathogens that are at the bottom of the colon there. And so you can sometimes see them coming out more than others. And also I know what to look for and seeing them. So that's kind of my long explanation here, I guess, of the answer to that question, because I don't think that there is no one answer to any of these questions for anybody. It's so incredibly individual, and everybody's going to have their own story with it. And so there can be a lot of anxiety around hearing what somebody else did and then being like, oh wait, I need to do that too. Because I definitely felt that and experienced that, where I'm like, wait, but this person said this, and I was just so anxious all the time. I had so many like opinions and thoughts going through my mind, and it's you just hear so much, you read so much, you're listening to different doctors and practitioners, and it's a lot to take in and make decisions about. And so the one thing that I would say looking back that I wish I would have done is, instead of just wanting like, I need to get better now, I just need to jump into anything and try it and do it, would be to say like, oh, Kimberly, slow down. Like, what can you do right now gently to bring this into a place that might help you, while like still nourishing and giving your system what it needs. So I think that was still something, was for a long time I was still looking for the magic pill, the person that was going to come save me and help me. And in the end, that was absolutely not the case. It was me taking everything very slow, me being very nurturing to myself, and me doing the slow processes of from 2017 after that anti-dulafungin treatment, to October of 2019 when I started driving again. That it was just slow nourishing and a lot of really slow repair that went into everything, and still a lot of healing after that October of 2019. So there was a video that I posted in that time frame that I watched recently that I think I'm actually going to repost the video with some comments to it, because it really shows like where I was at in the brain retraining, the cold therapy and the breath work and all the other things that I was doing at that point in time. And then I was tremendously better, but I was still experiencing a lot of stuff. And this was in 2020. So there's, you know, a long progression. It's, you know, when the body and the cells have been so depleted, the energy has been so depleted in the body, the system, the limbic system, the nervous system, everything in the body has learned certain patterns and ways of doing things. It takes time for all of that to come to a new cycle, like a new way of processing, a new turnover of the cells, so that the cells that are being built now are being nourished and are being replenished in new ways. So, you know, it takes time for all of that to happen. And it can feel like forever when it's happening very slowly. So, let me know if you have any specific questions down below. I'd be more than happy to answer. Also, if you can give this video a like if this helped you in some way, or subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. This will help to get the videos out to more people that like you and me, who could have used this information back in the day. Yeah, so I hope this gave you some sort of support, and I will see you all in the next video. All right, bye.